It was a Dallas paper, and it was a paper. It was one Sunday. I was sitting here in the sitting room, and I was reading the Dallas paper. We just returned from England in Europe from a holiday, and in the paper it said something about this guy Ronan O'Reilly in Ireland. He's going to put together a radio station on board ship and call it Radio Caroline after President Caroline's daughter. And I kind of mulled about it all afternoon. That evening, late, I decided I was going to England. So I got the family up out of bed, went into Dallas, caught the red eye into New York. Our passports were about expired. We got new passports. And that afternoon we were on the plane into England and got there that night. And then for the next few days, I paid the children, I think it's 50 cents an hour to listen to the British programs. And after the first day, they quit. They said they couldn't stand an hour of a violin solo and an hour of a woman singing an operetta without the accompaniment of music. And I tried to see Ronan O'Reilly, and he declined to see me when he found out that I was interested in putting together a similar situation. That was the first part of 64. I guess it would have had to have been about June, yeah. May or June in that part of the first half of 64 anyway. Well, it seemed like an opportunity for true laissez-faire, which is free enterprise. And the few times I'd turned the radio on in Europe to British stations, I had been bored up the wall. And the more I thought about it, and I thought the free enterprise radio system in the United States and what it brought to the people over here, that it also would bring pleasure to people in England. And this offered a vehicle, if it were possible to do, to both bring the pleasure to England, plus make a capitalist profit.
I understand when you got off the plane, you chartered another plane and flew over Carolina.
After a day or so of trying unsuccessfully to meet with Ronan O'Reilly, and later he told me that the reason he didn't meet with me was simply because when he found out that I was interested in putting together a ship radio station like his proposed Caroline radio, that he didn't want to encourage a potential competitor. While I was there, I wanted to see where the locations were for these ships that he had proposed to put his, according to the press, off the coast of Harwich. So the way to do it was simply to charter a plane. And I chartered a plane. We flew out over the North Sea area, and I could visualize the general locations and came back. Well, those were probably pictures that I took, which would indicate that Caroline was on station. But I did take a camera to take pictures. Frankly, I wanted to get an idea. I knew nothing about commercial radio, nothing about shipping, and I thought, well, anything I could see that they were doing successfully, I could use that as a benchmark to start my education in that field. Well, when I got back to the hotel and I found out the children refused to listen to the British stations for the 50 cents an hour anymore, and I couldn't convince them that I'd pay them more, they were just bored, and they just refused to do it. We returned to Texas, and when I returned to Texas, I called a few people that I knew that I felt might be interested in investing in a venture of this nature. Found there was interest, and the first question they always asked was, if this is such a good idea, why wasn't it done before? And that was a question that really and truly I couldn't answer. Well, after locating several investors that would like to join in a venture of this type, I proceeded to start searching for a ship. And the first thing I found out was that there's no used ship lot. All the ships that would be suitable were always in service. And I covered the Western Hemisphere and parts of Europe searching for a suitable ship, and I finally found one in Miami, Florida. And I bought it. And then after buying it, then came, by that time I was thoroughly knowledgeable in ships and how to figure the values and the capabilities and et cetera. And after acquiring the ship, then it was simply learning how to put together a radio station. We had an RCA television set, and having an RCA television set, I simply called RCA. And I said, I want to buy a radio station, and I want to put it aboard ship. And they sent their sales personnel and engineers to Miami. And after a suitable period of negotiations, we concluded the deal. We bought RCA equipment.
Well, did you know what kind of a station this was going to be?
Yes, I was going to. At that point in time, the top station that I was aware of was KLIF in Dallas. And I simply was going to copy their format since it was so terrifically successful. And that would be simply a top 40 format of the most popular music and brief news and brief weather. I talked to Gordon McClendon because I'd found out in the meantime that he had, in years past, had put together a similar radio ship off the coast of Scandinavia, I believe it was Sweden. And I'd never met Gordon McClendon, but he was very helpful in the suggestions that he gave me. Some of the suggestions were engineering, and some of them were programming, and also the highly successful jingles that KLIF was using. He told me who to see, and it was a company called Pam's, and a Mr. Bill Meeks. And so I simply went to Pam's and Mr. Bill Meeks there in Dallas and told him that I wanted to order the same jingle packages that they had sold KLIF that were so very successful.